Hi, I'm Adam Zarrett with We Light Up the Night, and today we're going to talk about how to hide wiring in a typical home theater setup. It would be very difficult to show you a real attic, wall, and ceiling inside of a real house with all of the angles that you need to see how it's done. So we've made a small mock-up of your average wall that we're going to show you with all of our cabling and cutting today. So here is my mock-up wall beside me, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mark a spot on the wall where this cable needs to come out. This would typically be right behind the television set or the AV rack of equipment. So I'm going to just take this Sharpie and I'm going to make a small mark where I want my cables coming out of. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole into the wall where this marking is. I'm going to take our keyhole saw and I'm going to make a cut into the drywall. We're going to insert the saw into the drywall and make a cut about the size of a quarter around this area for the cables to go through. Okay, now that we've got our hole, we're going to pretend as if we went up to the attic and we're going to be drilling through the 2x4 that would be the ceiling of the room where the home theater equipment is located. To do that, I'm going to take a drill with a paddle bit. I like the paddle bit because it makes a nice wide hole and a good clean cut. And we're going to place that drill in the center of the 2x4, trying to line it up with the hole that we've made down below, which is probably the hardest part when you're working in a real room with real construction. The next thing we're going to do is drop down one of our cables through the hole in the attic, and then we'll try and catch it at the other end when it goes past the hole in the drywall. Now I've lined my holes up fairly well so I can actually see the cable dangling behind the hole. Now there's a variety of methods for hooking and pulling the wire through your hole. My favorite is a small piece of rigid wire that's been bent at the end in the shape of a hook. We're going to put that through the hole and try to get it around the end of the cable that we just fed into the wall. Don't become discouraged if you don't get it just right on your first try. The process can be difficult and can take more than one try. But eventually, you should be able to get the hook around the wire and pull the cabling through. In most situations, we have several cables that need to be fed. I like to feed one cable first and then take any additional cables and secure them to the first cable with some electrical tape. Make sure we get a good even wrap around the end of the connector, and then we'll just pull that tight. Now we can feed our second, third, or fourth cables into the wall simply by pulling on the slack of the one cable that we've already fed. Now that we've successfully fed one wire through, with our second wire secured to the first wire, we're just going to pull some of our excess cabling, and this will pull through any remaining wires that we have. Then we can remove the tape and pull back the slack from the first wire. Now, not every cable is best hidden inside the wall, as shown in our previous method. A lot of times with speaker cables, we have speakers that are going to sit in the corner of the rooms, even on the floor in the corner of the room. And another much easier and much more appropriate method for hiding that cable is going to be tucking the cable between the floor and the trim that runs along next to the floor. Now, this is typically done with carpeting, but today we're going to do it on hardwood just to show you that it can be done. I'm going to take my cable and I'm just going to press it using my fingernail into the space between edge of the flooring and the bottom of the trim. Now again, this is best left to carpeting, but you can clearly see what happens. And then we can take a pair of scissors, or sometimes a flathead screwdriver, and run this along the edge again to push the wire even further into place. With loose fitting trim and fluffy carpet, this usually works very well to hide an ugly wire. I'm Adam Zarrett with We Light Up the Night, and thanks for watching How to Hide Wires in a Typical Home Theater Setup.